right, so just like quiz A example that we went over in class, or you watched the video on, this is very similar. The same process pretty much for all of this, just with different data here where we have a brake and muffler shop reported repair bills in dollars for their customers on a day of business. Okay, so just keep in mind, make sure you know how to do this in the 84, whether that's on your phone with the Calculate 84 app, or whether it's with the 84s in class. You need to make sure that you feel competent and confident to create all this stuff. Okay, so let's go ahead and type all this in. I'm going to go to Stat, Edit. I'm going to type in all of these repair bills. 88. I get students every year that ask me, does it matter if I, let's say I go 88, if I go rows first or if I go columns first? It doesn't matter. You don't need to type them in order. I'm just going to go left to right. But again, if you decided to go up and down, no issues, right? Don't worry about that. So just keep that in mind. All right, second row. Okay, now we've got the third row. Almost there. Man, I really wish my repair bills when I take my car into the shop were this low. And the last row, $56. I mean, come on, they charge you more just to even pull it into their service bay. And the last one, $422. All right. So now we're ready to create a histogram, just like we did before with our credit hours. So I'm going to go to second, stat plot. I'm going to turn the first stat plot on. All right, so hit on, and then remember to scroll down and over to the histogram. Hit enter on that. You could always hit enter. And then you can hit enter if you want, or scroll down. At this point, you're good to go. Hit, because we're in list one, hit graph. And zoom 9, which is zoom stats, and zoom 9, which is zoom stat. And there you go. All right, there's the histogram. So we can sketch it if you want. I'll take the time to sketch it real quick. Remember, when you do this on the AP exam, we'll change back to my original color. I'm not that worried about it being perfect. Right, we're talking about, let's see, this is bills, right, in dollars. I assume, yep, in dollars. Great. So we have kind of medium height. Then we go pretty high up. And a little higher. Same height. And then a little bit lower. And then a little bit lower. Okay. Now, again, we're going to do this in letter D. So I'm actually going to go right down to, I'll help myself out by getting some statistics first for this. But, whenever I make a histogram, my immediate thought is shape, center, spread, right? I'm just thinking that in my head all the time while I'm looking at a histogram. And, when I look at this, the shape, this is one of those where I'm going to get kids that are going to say bimodal again because of the two highest bars there. But I really think it's still unimodal. You got a kind of a main hump there in the middle. You could maybe argue there's some skewness going to the right as you kind of move. There's a little bit of a tail to the right. It's really up to you. That's the beauty and also kind of the challenging part of stats is how I view it and how you view it might be different. That's okay. We're different people. So I'm probably going to say this is unimodal and roughly symmetric, and you might disagree. All right, so let's get the statistics here. Let's go to stat and then over to calculate. One variable stats, this is our one quantitative variable for repair bills. It's in list one, don't need to worry about frequency, so let's calculate. All right, so X bar, which is Y bar, is $236.25. So the mean is $236.25. And the standard deviation, that lowercase s, is $103.43. Now, it doesn't actually ask for me to do this, but I'm going to go ahead and just write down the median and then the IQR, just because to have it in case I want to use that to describe my association later in question D. So the median is $220, and the IQR, which again is quartile 3 minus quartile 1, which is 302 minus 163, which, what's that going to be? So 300 minus 160 is 140, but I need to take away, so 137, 139. Oh man, that's a lot of mental math there, but I think that's correct. Yeah, should be good there. Okay, so $139 for the IQR. All right, and then now I'm ready to answer letters C and D. So is it appropriate to use the mean and standard deviation to summarize these data? So as I mentioned in quiz A, this is all about the linkage. If you agree with me, where this looks unimodal and roughly symmetric, you're going to say, yes, it is appropriate to use the mean and standard deviation because the shape is unimodal and roughly symmetric. If you disagree and say that it could be bimodal or it could have some potential skewness, then you're going to say that it's not appropriate because the shape of the histogram is not unimodal and roughly symmetric. So I'm not that concerned. I think there will be obvious ones to everyone in the class, but I'm really just more focused, and same with the AP exam. Their readers are focused on the correct linkage here. So I'm going to put yes because the shape of the histogram is unimodal and roughly symmetric. Again, as I mentioned, you could disagree. That's totally fine for you to disagree. Right? When I make a key, I usually make multiple versions depending on what the shape looks like. Okay, so now to letter D. We didn't do this, write out the sentences for this for quiz A about the credit hours. Let's go ahead and do this here, right? This is where you've got to address shape, center, spread, and then everything has to be in context. Right, that's the key thing. If you don't do the in context, we're talking about repair bills here, you're not going to get full credit. Okay, so, all right, I'm going to say the shape is unimodal and roughly symmetric. Again, you could disagree and write what you think. All right, because I'm using unimodal and roughly symmetric, I'm going to say that the center is a mean of $236.25. All right, so again, if you're saying it's not unimodal and roughly symmetric, if you said maybe bimodal with potential skewness, then I should be seeing the median there for the center. And the spread is a standard deviation of $103.43. Again, this is where you would say that the median, or if you use median for center, you're using IQR for the standard deviation. And, I didn't put anything in context here. So let's say the shape is unimodal, roughly symmetric. The center is the mean. And all of this is about repair bills. And I did that pretty inefficiently, right? I really should have just said the shape of this histogram that shows the repair bills, right? Put it in the sentence, that'll help you, okay? But you got to check off all these things and context. Okay, let's move into number 2. Now, when we did this in quiz A, it was actually the same kind of thing. It kept the credit hours problem going. In this case, we got a completely new scenario. We've got a test on Monday, and the kids, we don't have a test on Monday, but in this class, the kids had a test on Monday, and the highest score was a 92, but there was a kid absent. That student came back the next day and scored a 100. What would happen to the rest of the statistics with this 100? And as we talked about before, right, if your highest value goes from 92 to 100, so it increases, then your mean should increase, your range obviously will increase, and your standard deviation will increase. And your median and IQR, as I mentioned, IQR is calculated with quartiles, which are really just medians of the bottom half and the top half of data. Those are going to be resistant to this change of having a higher maximum. So I'm going to put stay about the same. I put stay about the same because, right, remember, they could change, right? They're just not going to change nearly as much as the mean, the range, and the standard deviation. All right, so hopefully that's given you enough videos of content and talking about the data or the actual statistics behind this to help you answer those Delta Math links. Don't forget to try those. Good luck.